It's a two question as well. So
wow.
first one is how can I conquer stage fright? And then the second one is what is the best way to kickstart a presentation? I think I can try and address them both at the same time, in the sense that this usually represents the first few minutes of your presentation, whether it is a speech, whether it is a meeting, whether it's a school presentation. The first few minutes is always very scary because this is the point where you're dealing with two different things. Number one, your fear will start to kick in. And number two, of course, you want to start with a bang. That means you really want to start and capture your audience attention. So the first aspect, which is the conquering of the stage fright element, one thing I would highlight first is that it's not new or it's nothing to be embarrassed about to have stage fright or to be anxious on stage. As I always tell my students, even for myself, having trained, spoken to a different group of people, I still feel nerves at times. Even for my adult classes, I still feel that just slight nerves right before the class, because there's always it's the nature of the speaking setting. There's always that chance that you may be boring or not engaging, or it might be an off day and you may not be fully giving value to your students and all. So that nerves will always be there, and I think it's not about eliminating them completely, but just being comfortable with it and trying to manage it. So one thing I would highlight is to know exactly how your anxiety manifests. That means how does it appear in your body. For myself, for example, I know that when I get nervous, I speak very fast, in like an inhumane speed. I have someone commented to me that I am like the Flash, except just in words, because and I didn't realize how bad it was, because all the while I thought that it was just me being energetic when I presented. This was my very early part when I joined Toastmasters, even when I was a prosecutor back then doing court cases. And one day I actually watched my video and I was so shocked by it, because it was so fast. Even I couldn't remember or catch what exactly I was saying. Yeah, it was very fast. It's like zoom. I think it was supposed to be a 3-minute evaluation speech, but I finished the entire thing and I had more points than anyone else, I think, in the contestants. But I finished the entire speech in like 1 minute 30 seconds. Half the time I was perspiring and everything. So then that's where I realized that what's the cause of it? It's not because I wasn't prepared, but it was just because I was nervous, and that comes out in a very fast speed. And I asked myself, what is one way I can use to identify when this starts to kick in? Because then that's a reminder to me that, okay, this is where I need to calm down a bit. And I realized that when I speak very fast, I move my hands very fast, and this is visual. So I could see that my hands were really swaying around, and I started to just keep my mind focused on that. So the next time around, whenever I teach, whenever I'm speaking, the moment I started noticing that I'm maybe exerting a bit more energy moving my hands, I had an immediate awareness to ask myself, am I nervous? And if it was, I either take a quick break, I do a question to the audience, for example, to give myself like a few seconds to calm down before, and I actually use my hands to calm myself down. So my hands actually match my speed. If you watch the video, whenever I'm speaking, if I speak slightly faster, or I'm referring to something else, or if I'm slowing down, my hands tend to match that. It's not planned, because I just developed that habit to just keep focusing on that hand gesture, and that helped to calm me down. So one thing you can do is to just identify how does your fear manifest. Most people is like uncomfortable stomach feeling, most people is like start to perspire, some people have sweaty hands. So knowing all this is like an alarm sign. So I always had this quick story, which is that I once had an alarm where because for me, I'm someone who needs a lot of alarms to wake up. I cannot just have one. No many alarms. I'm quite sure some of you will do that. If you do that, please let me know in the comments.
Everyone is nodding at it.
I had like 5 alarms. So let's say if I need to wake up at 9:30, it'd be 9:05, 9:10, 9:15, 9:20, 9:30, all the way. Because I have this fear that one day your alarm will not work. But I had this wonderful alarm clock that has this feature that whenever the battery is about to run out, it would give a separate alarm right before the battery is about to run out, telling me that the battery is going to be running out. You need to replace it. Yeah. So when you identify your own stage anxiety features like that very quickly, it's a bit like an alarm, right? It's like telling you are starting to get anxious, starting to get stage fright. So before you go into the situation where that stage fright occurs or fully sets in, you can manage it early on as well. Yeah, so that would be one thing I emphasize for the first aspect. The second one would be to kickstart a presentation. One good way to kickstart a presentation is, of course, to start with energy. So to start on a very high note, no matter what the setting is, you may want to maybe go with a higher volume or faster pace. In terms of elements wise, one thing you can add on is something called an attention grabber. So an attention grabber is an introduction where you can use to just draw your audience in very quickly. Some elements of attention grabber could be an audience survey, which means asking the audience a question to create relevance, a story, or even for an informative speech, you can use a statistic, for example.
Correct.
So different categories, different types of attention grabbers. I think I will just keep it short and just say that for an attention grabber, just make a direct relevance to your audience. Yeah, so that'll be the two aspects I'll share for both questions.
Yeah, I fully agree. And what I will do is I will probably add value to the second question, and that is the best way to kickstart a presentation. I'll jump out because presentation, it's on top of public speaking. You could be like presenting certain things, like for example a dance, maybe a song and all. To kickstart a presentation, I think Zubro mentioned a lot of different techniques, and also at our center, even though we're not selling any courses here, but over at our center we do share things like informative speech this month and on persuasive speech. So there are different ways to start a presentation, like what Zubro mentioned, ranging from rhetorical questions to startling statistics to telling a story, making a point and all. The thing is, what I would then like to add on is you can kickstart a presentation by doing the prep work before the presentation itself by speaking with individuals. So let me share with you, I myself, on top of public speaking, my side hustle or my side passion is in dance, right? And I'm a dance instructor both for Zumba fitness, Bollywood dance fitness, and soon to come K-pop X fitness as well. And this is something that I find it very, very, very happy to do, because dance is a different kind of expression. Instead of just using words, but you're using body movements aligned with the rhythm as well as the song or the music to help bring about greater fitness, greater well-being, and then to make people's day. I realized that when I first started as an instructor, greeting and saying hello, speaking with the dance participants before the class officially starts, I found it to be very helpful. Very, very helpful. Because one thing that I noticed when I was a student myself is that when the other participants are dancing, no matter how smiley, how happy the instructor is, some of the participants, they just don't smile at all. Yeah. So what I decided to do was maybe try something different, greet every single participant that comes through the door, and then say hello, how's their day, have a conversation. The rapport is built even before the presentation itself. So before the dance presentation in that sense. So I was able to establish rapport, and thereafter when I give cues, whether it's verbal cues or non-verbal cues, and I was smiling, the participants were more receptive and they took on the directions, they were smiling, they were having a good time, and at the end of the day when asked, how did you feel? They all had a wonderful, wonderful time. Yeah. So this is one very important step to take note. Kicking start the presentation, also not to neglect the pre-presentation phase.